and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and profits. Now, today's guest is Dr. Sterry, and he's a board-certified plastic surgeon with 20 plus years in private practice in Manhattan, New York. Now, Dr. Sterry also teaches residents as a clinical assistant professor of plastic surgery at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York City and is involved in several plastic surgeon societies, of which he is currently VP of the New York County Medical Society. Now, he's won many patient choice as well as super doctor awards throughout the years, and he's a real top contributor and Hall of Famer. So I'll ask him more about that. Dr. Sterry, thanks so much for joining me at Beauty and the Biz.
Thanks for having me, Catherine. It's a pleasure.
Sure. So I know your background a little bit more, but you didn't come from a family of surgeons. So can you just talk on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I didn't expect that to be your first question. Yeah, my folks were civil servants. My dad's a fireman. My mom worked in the court system in New York. I was sort of expected to go to college, but not necessarily become a doctor. The goal was college, and that was the goal. So once I graduated college, it was like, well, now what? I'm not really sure what I want to do. And I always knew I wanted to be a physician, but I didn't think it was possible. I came from a very blue-collar neighborhood, and it didn't seem realistic because there were these proverbial stories about straight A students who couldn't get into medical school and whatnot. And, as time went by, I found out that was really not the truth. That's not how it really goes. You work hard, you can make some progress in your life. We do live in a meritocracy. And so I ended up going to medical school, and I wanted to be a general surgeon, and found out that I didn't like trauma as much as I thought I did. And one thing led to another, and I found myself in plastic surgery, where I thought I'd be a reconstructive surgeon.
So did you work in the hospital for years before you went out on your own?
I worked for 3 years at Mount Sinai, employed by the hospital, and eventually it was a long 3 years, and it was time to move on. Got super frustrated with insurance and management, et cetera, et cetera, and it's not a decision that I ever made. I just kept acclimating towards, well, I have to pay the bills. Now I've got a couple of kids and I've got bills to pay, and I don't have any choice, and I can't get stiffed by insurance companies anymore. And next thing I know, I'm a cosmetic surgeon.
So, you literally went from the hospital to solo practice?
Yeah. It was 2003, 4. And I just decided I can't do this anymore. It became untenable. And so I found a space on Park Avenue and moved on.
Because when I met you, you were on Park Avenue and you have since moved. But what possessed you to set up shop in the middle of the jungle of New York, in the middle of Manhattan? Could it be any more competitive in the U.S. or in the world? Honestly.
I have a very simple answer. My wife. My wife refused to leave the city. And I don't think she realized what she was asking of me, because you're right, it was very challenging. It was really hard. And what it really comes down to is working more and spending more hours not at home, working evenings and weekends, and stressing quite a bit, but you make it happen.
So you went completely cosmetic?
Now I am 100% cosmetic, yes.
Okay. Now, Park Avenue, when you were there, I just was so surprised when because I know quite a few surgeons on Park Avenue, and there have to be, 100 of them? There's a lot of surgeons on Park Avenue. And I was so surprised how much you get done in such a small space. It's very interesting, because then you go to Texas and, your 2,000 is their 20,000 square feet. It's just crazy, the amount of space. But because of that, does it make you decide, I'm just going to do surgery, or I'm just going to do non-surgical, or I'm only going to bring on a couple people? Like, how does that affect you building a practice with slight, with tightness?
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. It does, because there's physically no place to put too many employees, number one. The overhead is enormous. And so I've been forced to think about, well, what can I, like I mentioned before, at the end of the month, the rent has to be paid. At the end of the month, Verizon, the phone bill has to be paid. There's no negotiation about it. So you really are forced to look at everything really closely, and it's a big challenge. I don't really offer many spa services because I don't have the space for that kind of thing. It has affected some business decisions when you talk about investing in technology, because if I want to buy a gadget that takes up a whole room, I can't give up a room for an hour at a time for some treatment, because that room costs me. We literally had, at one point, I had it figured out what it cost me to breathe the air for an hour in my office. It's insane, and you just can't. You can't give it up that easily. And I noticed as the years went by, I started to figure out that industry really wants a piece of us. And, they love the idea of cosmetic work. But I think you have to be really careful, very picky and choosy about who you get involved with a lot of the industry folks that are out there.
So when you were on Park Avenue, did you have an OR suite in-house?
I had the world's smallest OR. Yes.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing it.
It was a big problem. I was able to get it Quad A certified. It was a challenge, though, because I beg your pardon. No, I'm sorry. In Park Avenue, I could not get it Quad A certified. I had to go with Joint Commission, because Quad A actually demands a certain layout. And they know that you need some space. God forbid there's an emergency and you have to give CPR or some such thing. Whereas the Joint Commission was much more concerned with process and frankly, what I thought it was paperwork. And it was a very different. I honestly think that the Quad A is more appropriate for a surgeon to be certified by than the Joint Commission, at least in private practice for what people like me need it for.
But now you're on Fifth Avenue. Did that give you more space?
Yeah. I have a better layout. I have a little more space. I've already outgrown it, but here we are. I don't really want to move again because I don't think it makes practical sense. But yes, I have a real operating room. I am currently Quad A certified. We have everything we need to do real surgery here.
Gotcha. And but Quad A, typically, don't you need that because of the recon? I mean, do you have to have that? Because, well, let me ask you this. Are you watching or hearing more patients wanting local versus general? Less downtime, faster recovery. Are you hearing that? Because I am. The trend is, can I have this done under local?
Yes, for sure. No question about it. I've been hearing that for about 10 years. Yeah. But I'm also, one of the things that I've tried to do is cut out the middleman as much as possible. And I love my colleagues in anesthesia, but they're expensive. And if I can, patients are willing to pay X for a procedure. So if you can do it under local, you're better off. But it's got to be safe. So that really depends on the procedure that they're wanting. In New York State, one can't give IV anesthesia without being certified by one of the three big entities. So it's either Joint Commission, Quad A, or AAA, SF. And so I stuck with Quad A. It made the most sense to me.
Gotcha. And then did you add any non-surgical staff, or are you doing your own non-surgical? Is it like, how big of a part of that, of your revenues, is non-surgical now versus surgical?
Revenue-wise, it's still not a big part. Ironically, I guess I made a small mistake last year. I hired a nurse who I wanted eventually to take over all my injectables. She ended up not liking the injectables any more than I do, and patients and the patients still want me to do it. So I don't have a huge injectable practice because, frankly, I don't find it to be profitable. I find it to be a little bit bothersome, to be honest with you. I know a lot of folks make it work. But in my neck of the woods, with the tier that I'm in, with the companies that sell the products, it just, hour for hour, I'm better off operating. Unlike things like Botox is profitable. It's pretty quick and easy. Some injectables, things like Voluma in the mid phase, bing, bang, boom, you're in, you're out, you move on, it's fine. But when folks come in and they want things like lip injections, I find that to be a money loser. It's a real loss leader. You can do it if you want to, but if you think it's going to draw patients in for something else. But it's a solid half hour of my time, or I suppose if we had a nurse injector, her time. And invariably, you get a handful of people who are unhappy and they want it dissolved, and one side is bigger than the other. And you know damn well you put the exact same amount of product on both sides. It's that, to me, I don't want to deal with the headaches. I don't want to have to spend the time to explain it. It's bothersome. So we service the patients that we have, but we don't look for more of those.
Literally, in your situation, if you asked me, I would say the only reason to bring on a nurse injector is if she brought a really good following with her. And it's not just injectable, but it's Botox, and maybe just a really good nurse injector can bring in a good profit center for you, but not you getting involved, probably, you know?
Yeah, I could understand that. I believe you, but that's not what I did.
Yeah, right.
And I do love my nurse to death. I hired someone who is terrific at a lot of different things. She's just not an injector.
Right.
She took so much off my plate. She runs the OR. I don't have to worry about the paperwork in the OR anymore. She's on top of it, like white on rice. She's great.
No, I completely agree. I'm just saying, if you did bring in a nurse injector, it would be one who's a really good marketer. She knows how to market herself. She knows how to bring in her own clientele. So she becomes her own profit center without you involved. But then again, there's always that fear that she'll walk away, and she'll take them with. So
yeah, it happened to many of my friends. Yes.
Right. So how many staff do you have?
3. I have Alex, who's my practice manager. She's been with me since I worked for the hospital. She came with me when I left. Megan is the nurse, and my medical assistant is Shivani.
Nice. You probably sleep well at night with that kind of overhead. Watching some of the others, there are 2 ways to do this. You either build a kingdom or you build a lifestyle, typically. And some surgeons are just built to just build, and others are built to, no, I want to see my family periodically. So yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, it's a mixed bag. I decided, you're right. The way I looked at it was different. I know that there's a certain, when I was buying my space, I thought, well, if I could afford to get more space and then rent space out and, set up some of the spa services we talked about, that would be great. That's a good business plan. But as I mentioned, my father was a fireman, and and in New York, you need at least 50% down. So if somebody wants $1 million for an office, you need $500K to put down in cash. And it was not so easy. There was this little financial crisis we had in the middle of my career. There's been a few stumbling blocks we come across. So
for sure. Have you ever tried to work with another surgeon, or, share expenses, or any of that, or any thought of doing that?
There's always a thought. I kick it around periodically. I'd rather stay friends with people. We cover for each other. We look out for one another. Somebody needs Botox, we lend it to each other and whatnot. But I haven't really seen too many successful stories there. And even when the group stays together, at least in my neck of the woods, there's a lot of strife that goes on in the back room. I sort of like running things this way. As I said, when I worked at the hospital and I had associates, it wasn't as smooth as I thought it would be.
I hear you. I also don't know many who have made it work. The ones that have, they have very thick boundaries, like you do neck up, I do neck down. Or I'm the dictator, you're the associate, boy, too many cooks in the kitchen.
And then at the end of the current contract, there's never going to be a partnership, and the junior guy gets kicked out. And I don't, now that I'm on the other end right now, I would be the senior guy. I don't want to screw over one of my residents. I have no interest, or a younger guy, woman, man. I think it's better. Like I say, we cover for each other. I do my thing, you do your thing.
Do you have any words of wisdom I know you hang around with the residents, you're training them. Are there any suggestions you're giving them, or recommendations? How in the world would a newbie enter this marketplace, especially in New York?
I think right now, so much has changed, right? It's only been 20 years only, but so much has changed. I really think that when you first finish, your best move is to be employed somehow. And in order to do that, your best move to get a job is probably doing a fellowship that somebody wants you need some advanced skills. which is wholly unfair because you're in your mid 30s by the time you finish plastic surgery training. But I think that's probably what I would do. I've gone back to telling them, you might want to think about a microsurgery fellowship because then that gets your foot in the door, you'll get privileges. When I finished, my biggest challenge was I couldn't get my hands on an application to a hospital to apply for privileges. It was a big game. It was unbelievable. Well, you have to meet the chairman first. Okay, one thing. Oh, he's a surgeon. He's very busy. Maybe about 6 weeks from now. Okay, fine. I'll take that appointment. Day prior, get a phone call. Dr. So-and-so can't meet you. He's sorry. He apologizes, but he has emergency surgery. He can't. Well, when can I see him? 6 weeks from now. And so it goes. And I was never able to. It was very challenging. You had to pull some strings. I got awfully lucky in a couple of different ways to make things happen for myself.
I do know because I also have been around 22 years, and I'm watching the older guys, starting to think about exiting, and that's when they have to start saying, "Okay, I like to run my own show, but now I need to figure this out." And they try to bring someone on, and it is so difficult bringing the right person on that matches your values and your vision. So nothing easy about that. So what would you say is the biggest challenge facing surgeons today, just with all the changes happening? Any suggestions there?
Oh, wow. I have several thoughts about that. I mean, the biggest one, like I mentioned, I bailed out of insurance work. I'm very lucky to be in that position. But I just found that there were too many times, there was always this phenomenon where they pay you less than the time prior, when they deny services, et cetera. But then there was one case in particular that I did a few years ago, and I just said, that's it, no more, because I took care of a patient who I cared about very much. I knew this guy for a long time, and when I would do some work for folks who are paraplegic and such, I really felt like a doctor. I was doing it because I wanted to do the right thing. But then again, you do have to be paid. So big operation, weeks of care in the hospital. The insurance company paid me zero. They denied it totally. And I said, what do you mean? Well, refile that. That must be wrong. I spoke to my biller. No, I'll just do it again. And they said, no, they don't think that you did what you said you did. I did a flap. What are you talking about? So I compared my note for the same patient from 10 years prior, and I happened to dictate it all. You get into habits. It was almost the same note. Why did they pay for it before but not now? I had to have a one-to-one with a representative, a physician from the insurance company. And I said, what do you mean I didn't do a flap? And look, I said I rotated and advanced the muscle and filled in the gap and blah, 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 and covered the bone. He says, doctor, you didn't name the blood vessel that supplied the flap, and therefore we don't consider it to be a rotated flap. I said, what are you talking about? And the end of the story was I got $0 for that one. And I that's it. I said, no more, never again. And I haven't. I feel terrible, but look, once in a while, I can still operate on people. I do it gratis sometimes, I'd rather not deal with the hassle. I found that we wasted more time and more of my brain power trying to get the few dollars that they might be willing to pay for something. I should just spend that time marketing and getting other cases that pay me ahead of time, and we take care of business.
That's why I only work on the fun side of medicine, because as much as we all need the recon side, especially when something goes horribly wrong in our own lives, I don't know who's going to be there to help us because they've made it almost impossible for these surgeons who have spent years and decades trying to learn this craft, and they're not paying them, and there's no upside to the darn thing. And what a shame, and it's not just like the zero reimbursement, it's the time and the negativity and the mind space you have to put into fighting for it, then you still don't even get it. So I stay away from it for sure. So let's talk about something more fun, and that's marketing. But in your world, how in the world do you differentiate yourself? By the way, people used to say, you know what, New York, it goes both ways. There are a lot of competitors, but there are still like 8 million people that live there. Is that still true, or did everyone move to Texas or Florida or something? So what's your population like?
Well, the catchment area is still the tri-state region, so it's still something like 24 million people.
Oh,
So there's 8 million on the island, in and around the city, I should say.
okay.
The catchment, they come in from Long Island and Connecticut and South Jersey. They sometimes fly in from other states. I've had several people fly in from Australia. I remember talking to this one woman on the phone and saying, you realize, it was still the telephone, by the way. I said, you're literally going to fly past every other plastic surgeon on the planet to get here. I'm not that good. You can go to somebody, go to LA, go to Singapore. It's got to be somebody. And she wanted me to do it. So, okay, fine. I wasn't going to argue with her too much more.
Wow.
There's still this, when you talk about marketing.
Yes.
I was looking at a space next to Mount Sinai Hospital. Now, Mount Sinai is on Fifth Avenue, but it's a little north. It's almost Spanish. It borders on Spanish Harlem. And there was an office that was becoming available back in 2007 or 8, before 8, right? Before the crash. And I loved it. It would have been a fantastic space, 2,100 square feet, upper level, lower level, etc. Condominium, so only 10% down, none of this 50% down stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I could actually afford this one, and it's beautiful. I asked one of my patients, I said, if my office wasn't on Park Avenue, if I was up by the hospital on 101st Street, would you have come to see me? She didn't blink. She said, no. I said, but I'm the same guy. Why wouldn't you see me? And her answer was very simple. Everybody knows if you want a good plastic surgeon, you have to go to Park Avenue. And I thought to myself, okay, I can't fight this kind of stupidity. This is what they believe. This is just how it is. So I went, whoa. So, I've been on Park, I've been on Fifth. Fifth has not hurt me. I mean, I'm on Fifth, but I'm looking at the Guggenheim right behind your screen.
Right.
And it's worked out fine, but I don't have any special abilities that anybody else in the country doesn't have. We all did basically the same training. So I do think there's something to be said for location. In terms of, the rest of the marketing, I've taken my lumps. I've made some mistakes. Right now, I think social is the way to go. I think that's the best bang for your buck, bang for your time. It's where all the eyes are. So we spend a little more time there nowadays.
I also checked out your Instagram because, quite frankly, the cosmetic patients want to know who you are as a person, a human being, father, wife, husband, whatever, dog lover. I like the dog part. So I checked it out and I saw that you did a tour of your office, like walking out the door of your office. And it was like the most beautiful, gorgeous day in New York City. And I thought, well, I wish it always looked like that. That was great. And then it showed the Guggenheim and you did like a little tour and the coffee place that's outside on the other side. And it was so, that was fantastic. And it's so true. You have to be in the right neighborhood, you need the cachet. It's very helpful. So I take it you didn't take that other building ever. So.
No, didn't make that move. But it is true. People, perception is reality. You got to deal with it. You got to roll with it. Yeah.
Well, you know how many surgeons use Park Avenue? They're not there, but they go there like once a month and they put it on their website. They have a Park Avenue address, and really, Park Avenue does say something to a lot of people. So. Yeah. Use what you have to if you have it. So regarding your demographics, because I did notice Alex, your practice manager, who's been with you forever, and how helpful is that to have somebody who's been there from the beginning? It's invaluable. Don't ever lose her. The continuity of that is priceless.
Yeah, it is, and she is. You're right.
And she brings Spanish with her. Has that been helpful to open up your target market, or has it been helpful for you?
Yes, it's definitely helpful when you need it. We don't need it every day. We have talked. She and I have spoken. Do we want to have a Spanish version of the website? Should I brush up on more of my Spanish, because I used to hablo a little bit. But the truth is that for the last few years we've been busy enough without worrying about it. So we haven't, now with this coming recession, maybe things will start changing again. But I haven't needed to go down that road too much so far.
Gotcha. So social media, you have like 13,000 followers, so you're doing a good job. You have somebody that works with social media. In today's world, I really think you need a dedicated, at least part-time dedicated person that is their job to focus on the social media and turn you into a star. like it's their, like it would be their responsibility to tell you, okay, today we're doing this, or while you're walking down the hall, let me ask you a question. I really think you need that, and almost a videographer or somebody who's good at video editing. So
Yep.
your person like can take the raw footage, of the iPhone or the iPad, and then somebody can do something fun with it. There's so much you can do on social media now that's super entertaining, and you don't have to be the entertainment, but they can edit you into being that entertaining part.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more. So a couple of years ago, I made that decision, uh, and I hired someone part time. Was worth every nickel, and then some. I mean, somebody told me a long time ago, if you're doing your marketing right, it doesn't cost you anything. It makes you money. You got to remember that
For
investment.
sure. For sure.
So I had somebody who was fantastic. I didn't know how good she was, and then she went on to graduate school, and I had to hire someone else who I love very much, and she was terrific, but she wasn't as dynamic. She's now left also, and this moment we're actually kind of looking for the next person. And to the point you're making, I'm looking part-time, full-time, part-time, full-time. You could make that a full-time job. I mean, I think it would be worth the budget, but it's got to be the right person. As you mentioned, they have to have some insight. They have to know you and understand your brand and what you want to bring to the table. I had somebody here for a very brief minute, and she was trying to get me to do some funky things. She didn't want me to dance on camera or anything, because I mean that was laid that down immediately.
Yeah.
Some of the things she wanted to do were just not on brand, and I said, "Yeah, I don't think I want to do that particular video. I don't like that concept or that music." And it didn't work out between us. So we had two different visions of what I was going to be willing to offer. And I also think that you're right. And we're currently now working on mixing in some of the fun video along with before and after, because my perception, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you're the marketing person, but I think people want to know that you're relatable, but the proof is in the pudding, man. They want to see that before and after once in a while, and they want to know that you can deliver the goods that they're looking for. So we're trying to find a better mix to offer both.
Yeah, I think you need both for sure. They want the before and after photos. You want them more than they do, but they want those they want the transformational results. They want to see that tummy that was out of control and now it is tight. They want to see really good results, and the patient's stories. If you could get the new person you hire, if they could get good at finding out that patient's story, that's what we're looking for, because we're looking for somebody like us. Like, oh, I had 3 children. I used to be so hot and now my body's shot, and I chose Dr. Sterry because, and then this is what he did for me and how my life has changed since then. We love the stories, but then we love the pictures because we want to see ourselves in those pictures. Oh, I have a tummy like that, and now I could have that. That's fantastic. And then the entertaining part, that is becoming, because of where we're all heading in the world, apparently everything has to be fun now. I didn't come from that world. I came from the world of work, hard labor, and that's how you succeed. But apparently, and you did too, the blue collar kind of mentality. And nowadays, it's not like that. And people want to be so entertained. So you've got to figure out that balance of how much do you want to share with them. That's another thing. Like, you're limited on the family part, but how do you feel about sharing the family with the kids, with the hobbies, your vacations, with, what you did this weekend? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm still comfortable with most of that. I don't mind too much of that. And so far, my family hasn't objected either.
Okay.
Because some people are not comfortable being on camera. But I think that the big challenge now, as you mentioned before about the patient stories, Tim Cook is killing me. I'm a big Apple guy. I'm looking at you right now on an iMac. Love his products, but he's got a point about privacy, and he's made everybody much more aware. And 3 or 4 years ago, it was so much easier to get folks to allow me to share their story or their before and after. Look, I'll either cover your eyes or I'll crop out the top of your face or all this or that. And nowadays, boy, it's tough. Folks are very private. They're very insecure about having their identity out there.
Now, I'm going to question some of that, because there are also that whole other, it's a 50-50 thing. There are others who can't wait to put themselves out there. They're such narcissists and they just love sharing everything. So you just need to find them, and I would just keep asking everybody until the right, some of them say yes.
Well, we do, of course. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is I'm finding a trend, at least in my neighborhood, where there's more interest in privacy than there used to be. And I'll leave it at that. It used to be a lot easier for me to convince patients to let us use their photos than it is right now.
Right. Actually, I attended a seminar on this, and there's a big war between Google, Facebook, and Apple. And Apple, because Apple literally runs the whole show with the darn mobile phone. Even though Google owns the world, Apple has a very big control button on top of things. And all of us got to pick that question. They had to put in that question. Do you want us to share all your information with third-party vendors? Like the question was, of course we don't, 96% of people said no, but yes, the privacy thing. And you know what I heard? The reason they're doing that, Apple is going to get into the advertising business. That's what I heard. And so they need to control that now, so they can now have this audience that they're not sharing with others. And then they can start charging for advertising. I don't know.
That would be an interesting paradigm shift for Apple. But yeah, because, we'll see. But yeah, I believe that Tim Cook has a lot to do with Meta stock dropping quite a bit the last year because of some of the constraints he's put on. Yeah.
Well, that's why I hope everybody embraces social media, because another thing that's happening out there, even if you paid to get on the first page of Google nowadays with search rankings, they're not going to let you. There's only so much room left unless you do the pay per click or Google AdWords, which are there's a lot of big challenge to that. But they don't even have to go to your website anymore. Google's going to great lengths to make sure they don't leave the homepage. Oh, you want to know how much a tummy tuck is? Oh, you want to know what the downtime is? Oh, do you want you want to know everything you wanted to know about a tummy tuck? You don't even have to leave the first page. Even if you realize, wait a second, I meant to go find Dr. Sterry. And instead, Google's trying to usurp you. And it's getting challenging.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about patient retention? Because I'm focused more on that than ever. You've been around for 20 years. You have a patient list that knows, likes, and trusts you. Do you spend any time, effort, and money on them versus looking for new stranger patients?
I'm embarrassed to tell you we don't do very much. We don't. And I know it's in your book, and I actually have purchased some of your other tools to make sure that happens with email campaigns and such. And we've not been very good about it. But, well, look, you know what? The faucet was wide open since the pandemic. I mean, it was so easy. There were patients falling out of the sky. We didn't have to make any effort to bring anyone in. Things are about to change. They're changing already right now. And I can see that coming our way very quickly. Just to give you an idea, a flavor, in June, we had a 4-month waiting list. It's now the end of September, and we don't.
I hear you. I've heard that all over the country. And do you know how quickly it happened? That's how quickly it can dry up. And we've all been around for a while. It's like, first of all, did anybody see that surge coming? I didn't. I thought, here we go again. Here we go with the damn recession again. We're all in trouble. And instead, it was like, people must have plastic surgery. They absolutely must have it. And they must have it now. That was crazy.
Yeah, and some of my junior staff, they didn't understand. So as you mentioned, Alex and I are together for 20 years. And the younger staff didn't understand why. Like, why are you guys still working? What, you mean you want to stay late again? Why are you going to work on Saturday? Like, how much do you need to get by? And I kept saying, we got to make hay while the sun is shining. Yep. This will not last forever. Yep. And I kept feeling as though, there's a tiger chasing me and I got to get ahead. And finally, the tiger's here, I think. It took a while. It took a couple of years. But here we go. Now we're going to have to deal with it. But we're in a much better position. And I trust that all of us are in a better position now than, maybe in 08, 9, 10 when we all struggled so hard.
For sure. So we're going to wrap it up now. I know I was going to ask you what drives you, but I know you have a lovely wife and 3 little kids. Actually, they're not so little anymore. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 18, 16, and 14 on Monday.
Oh my God, how cute is that? So is there anything interesting you can tell us about yourself that we don't know that you're willing to share with the world?
Gosh, wow, that comes out of the blue. I'm a pretty boring person. About myself, I still like working with my hands even at home. I am a car buff, and I have an old MG that I'm forever tinkering with. Trying to teach my kids how to turn a wrench, and sometimes they're interested, most times not. But I still enjoy working on the old rust bucket.
So do you drive?
Yeah, yeah, yes. I'm a New Yorker, it's true, but I grew up on Long Island, so I drive.
Okay. Are any of the kids going to follow you into medicine?
No, no, they none of them have an interest. They all say, and this is the sad part. They all say, we never see you. We never saw you growing up. You work so hard. I don't want to work like that. Why would I do that? And I've said to them sometimes when we're really being serious, I say, look, it's true. Your mother and I worked our tails off to blaze this trail. All you have to do is go to school, and your name is on the door. The place is here. Just walk in and operate. But so far, there's no takers. We'll see how things change, if they change as their kids grow. But so far, no.
Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you again. I hope to see you at a meeting someday soon. It looks like the travel's coming back, although it has not been fun to travel.
No.
Can't seem to get anywhere where I want to go on time, but whatever. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And thanks for all you've done to help me in my practice over the last 20 years. I tell all my residents they've got to read your book. I bought it for a few of them so they can look it over. And I love your advice. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate that. Okay, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for us for Beauty in the Biz this week. If you appreciated it, please give us a review and share it with your colleagues and staff. And if you've got any questions or feedback for Dr. Sterry or I, you can actually reach out. His website is drsterry, Sterry.com, drsterry.com. And then mine is katherinemaley.com. And then if you want to check us out, my DM, or you can DM me on Instagram at Katherine Maley MBA. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again. Take care.